Welcome to the Enlightened Indies podcast, where we focus on the human element of digital publishing. Our intent is to share, teach, guide, and enlighten those new to or considering self-publishing. Join us for insightful talks given by successful self-published authors on what they've learned, what works, and what doesn't.
Hello and welcome to the Enlightened Indies podcast. Today we have Angela Ford. She is the author of the 4 Worlds series, and she wants to talk about implementing tactics for digital marketing. And that is a huge topic. There's so much to know and so much to learn. And I appreciate you diving into this because it's kind of, for me anyway, it's kind of the less fun aspect of this business because it's vast and it's confusing and it's ever changing. And but before we get into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started, when you got started, and tell us about your book, The 5 Warriors.
Absolutely. Well, so happy to be here, and thanks so much for having me on. So I actually got started back when I was in middle school. I would say was really the beginning of my adventures in writing. I was homeschooled, and I have 4 sisters. So as you can imagine, there's just quite a lot going on in the home and growing up.
Oh, yay! I homeschool my son. That's awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
My parents were so big on reading and writing, and that really was our main source of entertainment. It was just being very creative, using our minds for things. And that's really where the ideal for the 4 Worlds series was born from. Just those times I had playing games with my sisters, whether we were inside or outside, and when rainy days would come and we would just like cut up different papers and make paper worlds. And that's really where it came from. And I journal daily as well. So I was always writing things down, and then all of a sudden the ideal came to me to actually write out a story. So I did that, and I kept doing that. And then those stories eventually turned into novels. And then the 4 Worlds series was born. And I finished that up actually when I was 18 before I went off to college. So those were the originals. And it's quite funny going back and looking at those because, as you can imagine, something you've written when you're 12, you go back 10 years later and pull it up and look at it. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But my sisters, they were very adamant that they really wanted the final stories. They wanted them to be published. They wanted them to be available. They wanted to be able to read them and share them with others. So I got right back to it. After I graduated from college, I spent some time just not really writing, but eventually I did get back to it, and I sat down and I pulled out the story and I looked at the storyline, and I was like, okay, we got to throw this out and start over and go with it. And that's really what happened. It took me probably about 2 years of really focusing on the writing aspect to write the 5 Warriors. And I finished that earlier this year. And now it is out and available. And it's been a fun adventure, a fun journey. The 5 Warriors really focuses on the story of 5 individuals and how they come together to really discover what's going on in their world. There are these transformed creatures that keep coming across the sea, and they're raiding and they're plundering, but there's just something very odd about it. So they go off to get to the root of the issue, discover what's really going on and put a stop to it. So that is the adventure of 5 Warriors.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. Is it available? It's available on Amazon, yes?
Yes, definitely. It's available on Amazon, and I believe it's just available on Amazon right now.
Okay.
The additional distribution in the future.
So is it available for Kindle Unlimited?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Awesome. I read so many books, and I read so many of other people's books that it really helps when it's on Kindle Unlimited. That way you still get paid, and I don't have to set aside a massive budget every month just to read everybody's work. So that's great. So, and I think Kindle Unlimited too, is kind of veering off topic a little bit. I think it really helps with readers to try a new author because they're not financially investing any more than they already have. So I think Kindle Unlimited and even the 2.0. I think it's fantastic. I know there's mixed reviews out there, but I think it's great. I like it. I like what they've done with it. But well, that's neat how that story came about, and that the story has been inside you for so long, and then you put it down, and then you went back and completely revamped it with a mature outlook and a college education, and turned it into something. How close is it to the original, the 12-year-old Angela's version? How close is the final product?
I would say probably about 30% of it is very close to the original. Because the overall plot, I was able to keep that.
Oh, good.
But the specifics of it, I really had to go back and refine those. But all
Yeah.
of the character names are the same. They all have unique powers, magical weapons that they use. So those are all the same as well, which is great. And then also the places they travel to and the creatures they fight against, I was able to keep all of the names. But the actual events that happened, of course, needed to be embellished and changed.
That's so neat, because the weapons and the monsters and the things that you were able to keep were from a child's imagination, which is so much more vast than our imagination now. I think a child's imagination is it's so limitless. And so that's really neat that you were able to preserve those ideas from a time when your imagination was limitless, and put the mature twist on them and turn it into a book. I think that's just fantastic.
Exactly. And I love that, because you're absolutely right. When I was younger, my imagination was it was wilder and more fanciful, and you'll just believe anything when you're a child. So
Mm-hmm.
that was really where it came from, and it's quite fun going back and looking at it and laughing over it and being like, okay, what can I still use now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I imagine that was a lot of fun. That would be neat. I don't have anything from when I was a teenager. And it's probably good, because I'd probably just shake my head and hide my face and go, wow. But that's really neat. I'm glad you hung on to that. So you are a digital marketing strategist and an inspirational blogger. Tell me about the inspirational blogging first, and then we'll get into the marketing and the strategizing and the social media and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So after I finished college, I really took a break from writing for a while. What happened was, as soon as I graduated, me and my roommate, we were getting ready to move, and our apartment was robbed at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Which I happen to have all my work was actually saved on my computer instead of on it somewhere online or on a file. So it was all gone, and it was all of work, all of my college papers, just like everything that I had written down. And thankfully, my books, I had handwritten them, so I still had those, but just all the revisions that I was revamping, those were gone. And I was like, oh, I'm done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, oh man. I
Yeah,
can't even that's like worse than a horror movie.
it was bad. I was quite sad about that. I was like, fine, I'm done writing. I'll give that a break. And so just to flip that and try something new, I started just blogging. I got on WordPress.com. I set up a blog, and I just wrote about things that inspired me. And some posts were very much just like a picture at the sunset, because I love traveling. So I would take pictures and I would just post them up there. And then people started following me. They started commenting on things. And then from there, it just grew. And instead of just posting pictures and then maybe a one-liner or a paragraph, I actually started writing more full-length blog posts and having questions at the end and click to tweet. And it's just really started interacting a little bit more with my readers. And then after that, I switched everything over to a self-hosted WordPress blog, so I could have the angelajford.com domain, and people could go there and read the blog. And it's just been a lot of fun. And I really love things that inspire me, and I love inspiring others as well. And there's just something about just being encouraged and knowing that you're not alone and people are going through the same thing, and you can keep going, you can get through this. And I love writing as well. So it kind of combined two things that I really enjoyed. Uh, Inspirational quotes, inspirational pictures, the different books I read that pull inspiration out, and then just writing about that and sharing that with people. So that is really where that inspirational blog was born from, and it definitely continues.
That's amazing. So it was born from almost a complete loss then.
Mhm.
That's wonderful. That's
Exactly.
really great. And you're a perfect fit here because that's what I'm hoping that this podcast will do for other people that are just getting started, is to encourage them not to give up and encourage them, that they can do it. And we have all banged our head on the table and we have all broke down in tears. And we, you look at people that are successful that have already made it and they're kind of at the top of the anthill and you're standing at the bottom of the anthill and you're thinking, I want to be up there. How do I get up there? And there's a million different ways to get up the anthill, but it's confusing and it's not easy. And so I think it always helped me to read stories of perseverance and read stories of, people that were down and out. So we'll be sure and link your blog to the description as well, so that other people can read that. Now I want to read it too. So
Absolutely.
Now marketing strategy. Marketing has always been my Achilles heel, and thankfully, I have Monica to do that, to do a lot of that, and I've learned a lot through her. Well, I've learned some through her, but this is definitely one area where I am not proficient, which is why I was so happy to have you on to talk about marketing. So I'm pretty much just going to let you take it because I'm not even sure of the right questions to ask. It's typical because I don't understand it. I tend to avoid it and kind of just let Monica deal with it. So, so I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you break into, what is a good marketing strategy for the brand new writer out there.
Absolutely. And marketing was something I kind of fell into because I love being online and I love social media and I love interacting with people, but I'm very much a techie per se. So I just love sitting around figuring things out. And I had the opportunity to work with a small business. I was with them for about 3 or 4 years. They were very focused on the health and wellness technology, but a lot of my duties ended up being associated with marketing. And I just really had the opportunity to learn and grow with them and really sit around and discover the best practices, best tactics. And one of the big things that I really learned and discovered when you're marketing your work and you're promoting it, you really want to know who your target market is. Who are the people that are going to be interested in reading your work, reading your book, and then thinking about where they're hanging out, whether they're online, if they're in certain Facebook groups, if they're on Twitter, they go to different tweet chats, if they're on Google Plus, if they're not online at all. Being online is not their territory. They are people that you'll find at your local library, or maybe they're the people that are at your local bookstore, or maybe they're none of those places. So just really thinking about, if I write for young adults and I write fantasy, where's my audience going to be? And then not only where's my audience going to be, where are the decision makers going to be? And when I say decision makers, those are the people that are actually, they have the money. They're going to be the ones that are actually going to pay for this person to read that book.
Mm-hmm.
Whether a gift with the young adults, it's most of the time it's the parents that are like, oh, okay, yeah, you can use your allowance for that book.
Right.
So those different things. But really discovering, even before you go out and put your plan together, sitting back and thinking about, who are my readers? Where are they hanging out? Do they love discounted books? So do I need to be on Goodreads? Should I be try to make sure my book is picked up by BookBub? What are the blogs that they're reading online? Those sorts of things, really to figure out who they are, what they like, and then discover what can your book do for them? And this is where the difference between marketing fiction and nonfiction really comes into play. Because if you're a nonfiction author and you're writing something that's inspirational or that benefits people, then you have it's a little bit easier to put together a marketing strategy because you can sit back and you can say, okay, my book is going to help you live a more purposeful life. Things like that, where people are like, oh,
right, it's more direct.
Exactly.
You wrote the book to help a specific person with a specific problem. So yeah, it's a lot more direct.
Exactly. And it's a lot easier for people to look at that and go, absolutely, that's something I need. That's non-negotiable. Let me plug down the money for that home.
Right.
And with the fiction, it's a little bit different. This is more of a entertainment. It's to take you away from the moment you're in now, to really enjoy something else, look at things through someone else's eyes, through their shoes, discover, what great adventures they went on. So whether that's, in a sci-fi fantasy world, or if it's something that is historical, that's in the past, or something that's here and now, just those different situations that people find themselves in, how they react to them. And there's something beautiful in the reading of the fiction work, which I absolutely love. I almost feel like I learned something from reading the fiction books more than I learned from the nonfiction, just because you do have an individual in a situation and you do get the analysis of what they did. You can kind of think through, if I were ever in that situation, what would I do? Would I do the same thing they did? Would I do something different?
I actually just read about a study that they did with younger children, and they found that reading fiction was critical in developing empathy. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was really, really interesting. There were children who were not able to develop a proper level of empathy towards other human beings because they weren't exposed to a multitude of different personalities put in a multitude of different, because you become the main character or your favorite character or whoever, with what you're reading. And so you kind of put yourself in their shoes and you go through the choices and the hardships and the happiness with them. And it's scientifically proven now. It's critical for young children to read, but they're also finding that adults that have empathy issues, that they're able to continue to develop that sense of empathy through reading a few hours a day. So it's not like if you missed it as a kid, then, because I have one friend who just has never liked reading and did not read a lot as a kid and stuff. And so I thought of them first of all, and I was like, oh shoot, but it's not too late. You can still develop that empathy with the reading. But I just wanted to jump in there with that. That made me think of that study that I read about.
Yeah, and I love that. And that is such a great thing for authors to hear, because there is that opportunity there. I mean, it's scientifically proven that reading is good for you. So
right.
Why wouldn't you? And they're all different mediums and formats. So if you like to read paperbacks, we have paperbacks. If there's, you have your e-reader, they're ebooks. And then I also love that they're audiobooks as well for people that love the audio. So it's all those different formats, and all of those things are really important, and taking into consideration who is my reader, who are the people that I want to read my book, aside from, friends and family. Because
right.
Sometimes the friends and family, they're there and they love reading, and that's exactly what they want. And other times it's just not their thing, and nothing
right.
in your art at all. It's just, that's not their thing.
Yeah. Entertainment is very subjective, and which is why it's critical to, like you said, identify your target audience and identify not only that, working with Monica and working with a marketing person a few years ago, we narrowed it down to identifying our target reader, like down to, if this is my ideal reader right here. Mm-hmm. And the market as the target market as a whole, and then all the way down to, what does this person look like? What do they do? We actually wrote up a little page-long fiction thing describing them exactly. And that, I thought it was ridiculous at the time, but it actually helped quite a bit. And it helped me stop going into areas where my my ideal reader wasn't going to be, like you mentioned, where are they going to be hanging out?
Mm-hmm.
Because I would go into areas that where my ideal readers weren't, and I would be met with crickets, or
Yes.
the sales weren't where they should be, or the feedback wasn't should be. And it's very, very easy as writers to take that personally and
Mm-hmm.
think, ooh, maybe I'm just not meant for this, or maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But I firmly believe that because entertainment is subjective, absolutely everybody out there has an audience. I don't care what you write, I don't care how long it is, I don't care what genre it's in. There's an audience for it out there. But it all gets back to what you identified, which is to know your target audience very, very well. It should be possibly a part-time job at first, I think, to figure that out. It should be taken very seriously, because when I was asked that the very first time, who's your target audience? I kind of gave a blank stare, and I was like, well, everybody. I want everybody to.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's classic, first thing, when you don't understand about the target audience and the marketing, that's kind of your first gut instinct. Well, I want everybody to read it. Yeah, well, we all do, but that's not going to happen. So maximize your chances by understanding, who your target audience is. So anyway.
Exactly. Very well said. That is exactly it. And I love that you said that you wrote it all out, all the way down to what this person looks like. And I think that's such a key thing to do, because the research is very important before you hop right into marketing. Because I think that's where there's a huge disconnect between people that are doing marketing and they don't know their target market versus the people that are. And I think when you just hop in without doing the research and going back and actually figuring out who your reader is, then that's where you find yourself disappointed in the sales and the reviews and the results, because you're marketing for everyone and not just those select people that they're going to be gung ho. They're going to be your biggest fans. They're going to be all about your work.
Right. Right.
So,
And
yeah.
it's not only wasted time, it's wasted money. I mean, marketing is getting expensive. It's to where you really have to have a marketing budget every month. And it's back when I started, and before that, 7, 8, 9 years ago, you really didn't. I mean, you just threw it up there, put it free for a few days, no big deal. You really didn't need to take this very seriously, which is why I only started taking it seriously about 3 or 4 years ago, when I had to. I was forced to, because the market got more demanding. It got a lot more crowded. A lot of these lists realized that they could start charging for the promotions, and it got very, very complicated, and it wasn't so easy as to just throw it out there and a bunch of people pick it up and it just kind of grow organically. I mean, those were the days, but it's not like that anymore, so it's even more important, so that you don't waste time and you don't waste money, and so you don't start to get hopeless and start to maybe think you should exit stage left.
Exactly. Just because, and it's gotten so much easier to publish work that I almost feel like there are more people now that are putting their work out there because it is much easier to do. And so that also helps to saturate the market. But definitely knowing, who your book is for will definitely help you stand out. And then one of the other things I want to touch on or go into is really the branding and the design. So now it's really important to have your platform, which is your website. And one of the reasons I really recommend having a website and not just a social media page is that you have more control over your website, over what's seen on it, over the information you can put out. And if a social media site decides to change the rules of, who can see what's being posted on it, you're not hurt because all of everything you have is on that one social media site.
Right.
And I recommend definitely having that website. And websites also are a lot easier to put up now. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars getting a website done. But one of the things that I have seen a lot of independents and authors doing is they'll put up a website, but it's not easy to navigate and it's not pretty at all.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things when you do put up your website, you want people to go to it and you want them to be impressed by it and stay on it. So it doesn't have to be something that you can throw up real fast just to get a website up there. It should be beautiful. And one of those things is you don't necessarily have to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on your a logo for your site or pretty pictures for it. It's definitely become a lot more affordable, but you definitely should think about those sorts of things. And I almost recommend at least sitting down with someone who does websites and talking through, these are my goals with my site and this is what I want, and just getting some recommendations from them on how to set everything up.
Mm-hmm.
As it is really important to go to a site that is easy to navigate, is easy for readers to find exactly what they're looking for, is easy for them to see your books and to buy your book. All of that should be very easy. As soon as they go to the site, they should be able to see that.
I agree.
To figure it out. So definitely, just a beautiful website, and then making sure that everything on there does look good, that it is professional level as well. That certainly helps. Just because everyone's online now, and it's very easy to go to a website and see whether or not it's professional, and you just easily just click away just because you couldn't figure it out. And
right.
So just creating that initial impression that's very beautiful, that makes people want to stay on that site as well, and that will definitely help with your marketing.
Very well said, and very true. It's almost your first impression.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't take your website seriously, people are, there's the automatic assumption that you're not going to take your writing seriously or your book seriously. Definitely. And it is an investment of time, and it can be an investment of money. Although if you get into the right networks, I think you can get some advice for free. And I know there's a lot of websites out there that they're kind of, you just click. I call them Molly friendly because even
I like that.
Even Molly could do it, which has to be pretty simple. I'm not technically savvy at all. So mm-hmm. I'm kind of envious of those of you that are. Monica is. I still think Morse code is an acceptable form of texting. So I am not. I am not tech savvy at all, which is probably why this stuff terrifies me, because I just don't have that kind of brain. But it kind of fascinates me too. But so yeah, if you get into the right circles, you can. I'm sure people can find a lot of the information for free, or just people that are willing to help. What do you think is the number one thing that brand new authors need to start with when it comes to social media / marketing?
I think the number one thing they need to start with is making friends online, really building a relationship with others, and not, necessarily going online and posting, hey, I have a book coming out, anyone interested in reading it? Actually going on and posting things that they're interested in, or joining different groups, asking questions, getting to know people, really cultivating and developing a relationship. And when I say that, I know it sounds like this is something that's so much time and energy invested, but you can just set aside 10 to 15.
It is, and it's needed.
Yeah.
It's like medicine. You've got to take it. Sorry, I can be a little tough love. You got to do it. And just to jump off topic real quick, Lisa and I have talked several times about writing a super short nonfiction book of 1,001 ways to replace the phrase "read my book," because that phrase just should be banished from the new vocabulary. Don't you ever utter those words, "read my book." Do not. Nobody wants to hear it. Don't say it.
Yeah, they don't. And it is funny because I've had several people I've been just chatting with on Facebook and Twitter. They're like, oh, you wrote a book. I just downloaded it. And I'm like, that's awesome. We weren't even talking about books.
I know.
But
I always follow it up like, yeah, but you don't have to. Don't think it's an obligation. It's no requirement to be my friend.
Exactly. But it's really cool because that is a result of, just developing a relationship. You're just talking to people, and people love to talk about themselves. And that's always something you can capitalize on. You can always ask people questions about them and what they're passionate about and what they're working on and, where they are, all those different things. People love talking about that.
Yeah, they do. And everybody is an authority on something, and everybody has an opinion, and it kind of takes a village. So
absolutely. And I know personally, like even for myself, I really don't like to be sold to. I really don't like people calling me up and saying, hey, you need to buy this, you need to do this, you need to do the other, because I don't like that at all.
right.
And just thinking about the way that I like to be marketed to or sold to, that's the kind of approach I take. If I'm going to respond to something, if someone actually goes out of their way to develop a relationship, I'm going to be interested in them. I'm going to be curious. That's kind of the way that I approach it. So that's also another thing to think about when you're marketing and when you're cultivating a relationship. How do you like to be marketed to? Can you tell when someone is, developing a relationship or engaging with you to sell a service or to sell a product? How is that? How do you handle that? And then another huge thing that I definitely would recommend for brand new authors is to build your email list. That is huge. And I don't think people quite understand how important it is to have that email list. And you can actually put one on your website and have people sign up there. But that's one way where you don't have to go search and find those people again and dig through your contacts on Facebook or on Twitter or on Google Plus and find that person again to remind them about who you are and your work. You can send out those emails and not blasting them with email every day, but
Right.
making sure that you do send out something that you have something valuable to say, something that would be interesting or something that would be funny or catch their attention. And again, this goes right back to your target audience research. If you've done your research and you know who your readers are, then you know how to interact with them. You know how to engage them. And again, it is something that, it does take some time to do. But you can always, I like to set aside and plan, like, on Mondays, I put together my content for my emails. And then on Wednesdays, I write a blog post. And then I spend, these 30 minutes every day are set aside to do some engagement, some networking, to build some relationships, connect with others. So once you start breaking it down like that, it actually becomes more of a doable task instead of a whole huge, gigantic marketing plan, which initially when you're starting out with it may seem to be a lot. But as you're going through and you're saying, oh, okay, this is my 15-minute task for today, then that starts to sound much more doable. Because we can always find 10, 15 minutes somewhere in the day to squeeze something in.
Right.
That's doable.
And that's great that you break it down like that, because you say social media and marketing, and it's like the image I get in my mind immediately is, the ice wall in Game of Thrones. Like, this is impossible. How am I going to get up that ice wall? I forget it. I'm just going to go home, So breaking it down like that, I can already see having you back to talk about just specifically about the email list, because there is a fine line between good marketing and harassment, and, what's good content and what's not, what's a good schedule. There's a whole bunch to talk about just with using that email list. I mean, if you're going to work so hard to cultivate and grow that email list, you want to hang on to those subscribers and treat them with respect and not blast them out like their tweets, or Facebook posts or something else like that. And so maybe I could have you back on we could come up with some general guidelines and important things to know about that list, because it is really important. I've read in a few places that, if you can grow that list to 1,000 subscribers, that's a pivotal changing point. When you hit 1,000, things really start rolling faster and they start happening. So kind of your mission in life is to get to that 1,000.
Absolutely. And it really is treating your book and your work like a small business, because these are the tactics that small businesses are also doing as well. Entrepreneurs, small businesses, they realize the importance of, building relationships, not just relying on yourself, having a team of people around you, people that support you and encourage you and inspire you. And then also, the importance of being able to be online and having that social proof, and those reviews and those people that, are saying, oh, I worked with so-and-so, I read so-and-so's book and it was fantastic. If you read this book, you're going to like this, and this.
Yeah. And if you get a reputation of only really saying something through I'm talking about the email list specifically, but if you get a reputation of only really saying something worth hearing and worth the reader's time, your open rate is going to go through the roof. See, newsletters are a little less complicated, which is why I'm able to mentally handle the idea. But I take it in small doses, and I'm learning very slowly from Monica. But yeah, we should definitely do a whole thing on email lists, because I know they can be abused, they can be lost, they can be used to catapult you to another level. And there's actually quite a bit to know about that. I'm getting ready to actually have and he's got something going on with his newsletter right now that he's going to specifically talk about. And actually, I think you just did this too, because I got your email about, it had to do with gathering reviews. It was an email marketing tactic with a prize and to get reviews. That was you, wasn't it? Just a few days ago? Okay, I thought that was you. But yeah, he's going to go into the deep mechanical workings of that. So I'm really excited about that, because I've seen it pop up now in a few of the newsletters that I follow, and I'm like, that's just a really good idea. And so, but in short, how did that work out for you? Were you happy with the results?
Yeah, it's actually an ongoing campaign, and it'll wrap up in a couple of weeks, but definitely there are people that have read the book and they just didn't post their reviews yet, and so that kind of spread them on.
Which happens a lot. A whole lot. I'll have people message me on Facebook or email me, oh, I read it and I loved it, and I'd be great if you could leave a review. Okay, I'll get around to it. And I'm like, it's like, no, don't tell me you love the book. Go tell the world.
Please tell your friends. It's always one of those things too. With the marketing and the promotion, so you always have to be thinking of, what's in it for my reader? What is going to make them click? What is the incentive I can give them to do this, or to help promote it or help spread the word for me? So always kind of having that in the back of your mind, what's in it for my reader, because they are out for, themselves. They want to be entertained, but aside from being entertained, what can I give them to help them market my book?
Right.
So that's also something fun to think about, which during the pre-launch of the 5 Warriors back in August, I actually did a contest. I gave away just a 15, I think it was either a $15 or $25 Amazon gift card, because people love Amazon. That's something that they'll all enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
And as a new author, it wasn't a book because they don't know the book. So that's not an incentive for them at all. They're like, what, another book? But just giving them something so they can go shopping. And I actually had over 2,500 entries into that competition. And people, they could also enter by tweeting it out. So they tweeted it out. And that was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow.
Just really helped to build the momentum, get the word out about it.
Oh, yeah. And that's a pretty impressive number, actually, for your first book and for a new release. Usually you have to have several out there and have that snowball rolling, and having gathered up a whole lot of your tribe before you get numbers like that. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. That was quite fun. I was quite impressed. One other thing I wanted to talk about was Facebook pages and Facebook ads, just because there are some questions and some thoughts about, what is a Facebook page worth to me and my brand as an author, just because the way that Facebook has put out their algorithm for the page, they really try to hide a lot of your posts unless you're paying for them to be seen.
Right.
And so with that, definitely get the frustration there, especially for authors, as we're looking to promote our work and not have to open up our private Facebook profiles for others just to see everything. But with that, it really is your social proof. So I do recommend having a Facebook page, and you can schedule your posts to go there. And Facebook pages are always a good way to find a new audience as well by running Facebook ads. And that is it's a pretty big discussion as well. But Facebook allows you to set your budget, so you can set, $5 a day, $1 a day, and start running ads to try to reach a new audience as well. And I've seen that done very effectively. So that is one thing you can take into consideration when you're thinking about marketing budget. Is your target market on Facebook, and are Facebook ads another way that you can reach them? Is that something that you're going to put into your marketing budget and try that out for a month or 2 months?
That is definitely worth another podcast. I've learned a lot about that along with Monica too. So I think we both would have a lot of input for that. Because if you do it the wrong way, or if you do it before you're ready, or there's a whole list of reasons, and then it doesn't work out, you're going to feel like you wasted time and money. And again, it's like, that's the three things. I don't know, maybe that's just what I identify with, but wasting time, wasting money, and then, the low self-esteem kicks in. And so, and that's could be a recipe for disaster. So, but if you don't do it right, it can be a waste of time and a waste of money. But if you do it right, and right, to me, I think it's very subjective depending on who you are, what you write, and what your goals are. But I think, yeah, definitely we should think about doing a podcast just on Facebook and the ads, because it is ever changing. And like you said, I still have my personal page up that I've kind of converted into a backup author page, just because things get seen so much more easily.
I definitely agree with that, because I will post things on my private Facebook page, and I'll post the same thing on my my Facebook profile and my Facebook page, and it's kind of neat to see the difference between the interaction there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's huge, unless you pay for it. It's
exactly
right. Which, if you're brand new, you may or may not have the budget for that. I know for me, with marketing, with all advertising and giveaways and brand building and all of that, it had to pay for itself. I wasn't in a position where I had, I could just dip into a trust fund or, just take a bunch of money out of savings and get started. I had to roll the snowball kind of slowly, and the books had to pay for themselves. And at one point, from the start until about halfway through, I was reinvesting 100% of what I made. And then that snowball just kind of kept getting bigger and bigger, to where I still remember very clearly the first month that I covered all of my expenses and marketing and everything, and had enough left for a mocha. And I was so excited.
Yes.
I've arrived. I worked an entire, 300 hours this month, and I get a mocha. It's a good day. But it is. I mean, when you're in that entrepreneur mindset, and you're creative, and you're hustling, and you're working it, and you see that little tiny bit of profit, it is kind of exciting. But that fuels you to want more, and that fuels you to work harder.
And that's a great story, because at the very beginning, it's not going to be like, oh, I have money left over. There is that building time, that struggle time. And the really key thing is exactly what you said, is not just giving up. Just keep going, keep persisting, keep working at it, so that you can see those results at the end, because that is how it happens. Because there's so many authors that are now famous, and their books are bestsellers, that have been turned down over and over again by different editors, different publishing houses. They've been told no, and look at where they are today, because they didn't give up. And
right,
those stories, the background, the things that happen in the very beginning that we don't necessarily hear about all the time. But if you stick with it, then we'll hear about you.
Yeah. or even there's something that kind of came to my attention is that there is a whole segment of Kindle indie authors that, are not household names. They're not, you may or may not run across them in, your Amazon search, but they're living quite comfortably. And they're not millionaires, but they're, they haven't taken off like a shot, like some of the instant Kindles, they're not instant, but some of the Kindle successes that appear overnight, but we all know it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. But there's a huge number that are self-sufficient and, they're paying their bills and they're comfortable. And so sometimes that road, just the anthill, I keep referring to it as an anthill because it feels about that chaotic, the very, very top, that's a great place to be, but there's plenty of room, on the next rung where people are doing what they love and they're quite comfortable. And there's a lot of success to be had, basically, is what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of room for people to make a living doing this. And, you definitely don't have to hit household name status before you are making a living.
Absolutely. I mean, even if you think about how many people are in the world, there are over 7 billion people in the world. Think about how many people are just in your immediate area and how many books you could sell to them. Like that's still a huge number. So that's definitely true. There's really a room out there for everyone.
Right. Exactly. And I know it can be discouraging just wanting to get to that top and feeling so far away from it. I'm going to do a whole nother podcast on mini goal setting because it's so much less depressing to sit and, say, okay, this month I made X amount of dollars and then raise that just by $100 and then work all month long to hit that goal. And then you get that small victory and you get that, yay, and then you set your next goal and you get back to work. And that's really how it's done, up the anthill, is just little 1 grain of sand at a time. That's far off the marketing and, and the advertising topic, but yeah, we could go a ton of different directions with.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And it really is the celebrating those wins as well. When you meet your goals and you made it to the end of the month and you sold more books this week than you sold last week, that's something to celebrate about, even if it's just one more.
Right. Exactly. Was there anything else that you wanted to add?
Don't give up. Keep going. Because one of my big things is when I started writing, I really started writing for myself and for my sisters as well. And they are my biggest support group, which is exciting. And it's really important to have those people that really cheer you on and have that fan club. And for me, those are my 4 sisters, and they're already excited to know when the next book is coming out. And that's really encouraging. And looking back, I know that, if my books were if I could just give them my paperback books, I would be happy. So that's one exciting and just one fun thing to think about, at the very core, at the very end, who are you really writing for, and making sure they get that out, and then everything else, just keeps moving along, keep pushing forward.
Right. It should always be fun. Always. And I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, and a lot of people have kind of called me out on it. Well, it's work. It shouldn't be fun. No, I'm sorry. And at the very least, it should be 90% fun. If you're going under 90% fun, you're doing something wrong. And that 10% is what I personally reserve for the marketing in the Facebook and all the stuff that I don't understand. That stuff is not fun. But you bet the day I could afford to hire somebody to take care of that for me, I did it, because it's important to me. You really can't put a monetary value on it. It's important to me that this stays fun. And so as soon as I got to that point, I was clearing expenses to the point where I could hire Monica. I did. And it took me right back down to, okay, I got to, now I get a drip coffee, this month. I can't even get a mocha, but that's okay, because I don't have to deal with this confusing, painful stuff. And we've actually stopped. It's been 2 years this month that I've been working with her, and we've stopped a couple of times and had like emergency powwows. And we're like, wait, this is starting to feel like work, because I insist that for her, it does not feel like work. I said, if any time this starts to feel like work, then we need to do something. We need to adjust things, because I honestly think that's the key to longevity in this business, is that it stays fun and it stays a passion. And that gets down to what you said, which is, who are you writing this for? I write all my books for Lisa. It's in the front of every single one, So once I write it and she reads it, kind of my job as far as my passion is done. And the rest is just, the rest is business. But it gets down to why are you doing this and who are you doing this for? And then from there, you take that creative and move it over to the business side, and make a business out of it and make a life out of it. But if you keep why you're doing it and who you're doing it for, if you keep that in your central focus, then it should always be fun, 90% fun.
Exactly. And I love that. It's all about the fun.
Yeah. I mean, why would you, if we want to be miserable, we go work at the post office. This is ours. This is our business. This is our passion. Why would it be miserable? And, trust me, I'm not saying that we don't pay our dues, that we haven't paid our dues, or we have yet to pay dues. We will. And there are tears, and there is a permanent crease in my head from banging it on the table. And there's all that other stuff, but that's after the learning curve, I guess I should say, because the learning curve can be stressful and it can be painful, but overall, yes, it should be fun. And with Monica, I insist that it be fun, and she's happy to oblige. So
I love that, because when you're doing something that's fun, you're way more likely to keep doing it. You understand the who and the why and what you're doing, and if you're enjoying it, then you should keep doing it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Well, I thank you so much for taking the time, Angela, and I hope to have you back.
Yes, and it's been an absolute pleasure. This was great, digging into digital marketing a bit more.
Oh yeah. Well, you're welcome back anytime. You were fantastic to talk to. You're welcome back anytime. So, do you have any promotions or releases or anything coming up?
Yeah, so starting October 15th, I will be doing a giveaway of the 5 Warriors on Goodreads. So stay tuned for that. Check out the giveaway section, and it will be an autographed paperback. And that will be international as well. I'd like to do that. But yeah, that is coming October 15th through October 31st.
To the 31st. I'm writing that down. And I'll link to it too in the description, definitely. In all the different social media that Monica will handle. And I guess I will throw that advice out there, because I know there are others like me that, there's a lot of people like you and Monica that they just get this. And I was having this talk with my son the other day, because he's very tech savvy and I'm just not. And I was explaining this to him. And so I know there's other people out there that are like me. And, I would just encourage them to grit your teeth and get through it. You may temporarily have to throw out the 90% fun rule until you get to a point but the first chance you get, hire someone to do this for you. It will make your life so much better. And there are plenty of people like you and like Monica that understand this stuff, and that that is part of their 90% fun. And that's what's so great about Monica, is that what is my 10% misery is part of her 90% fun. And so definitely, make that a goal. Just get to a point where you can hire someone to really help you with this, if it's part of your misery, like it is with me.
I absolutely agree. Definitely hire someone to do things that you find not so fun. There is no shame in having team members to do those things for you.
Nope, not at all. And it increases the fun and the happiness. Well, thank you so much, Angela. And I'm looking forward to talking to you again. Thanks so much for being on.
Thank you.